Well, this is my second attempt at this. We'll see how it goes. I missed last week. A lot of that had to do with me. With I don't know if it was just a bad ADHD day or what, but I just was not in any way. I don't know what the word is. Just I wasn't engaged at all with what he was speaking about, what the guest speaker was speaking about. I it just didn't. I don't know. It's on me. Has nothing to do with him. I just couldn't pay attention. I don't know if I just was lacking on caffeine at the time or too much caffeine. I don't know. I just wasn't on the right headspace for it, and it prevented me from my microphone here keeps drooping. But anyways, the at the end of the day, it was not. I didn't feel like I have anything constructive or additive or even negative to say about it. It was just kind of. I didn't want to speak on something that I didn't pay attention to. So, that's on me. This week was a lot better. I don't know, what the difference was. And in fact, I've spent the whole week at my brother and sister-in-law's house. They're out of town, and I've been staying the night there, with their two dogs and their pool, which has been nice. It's been kind of a different week for me. Got some writing done, had some, time to catch up on some shows, and really enjoyed some of that. So, but this week is a different story in terms of paying attention. Today at Life.Church was the fourth and final week of book club of the series, where Pastor Craig has brought in guest speakers based on books they've written. And this week was Tauren Wells in his book Joy Bomb. And I think I'm shortening the actual title. I didn't write down the actual title. But today he talked about, as the book goes, is joy. And he said a lot of really awesome stuff. And I'm going to try to go through it quickly, because joy, to me, there's something within, joy is so, I don't know. I'm going to try to get through what he talked about first. So he talked about, the key verse that he did was, Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 10. And this is the blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Obviously great stuff. Jesus said it. But that's kind of what he focused on. And I'm just going to write some of say what I wrote in my notes here. One of the things he said, that is, we are created by the God of infinite joy. I'm gonna just speed through this, because I've got a lot of thoughts on joy specifically. But I want to get through what he talked about, or what he said, before we get into my thoughts on it. He said the distinction between happiness and joy in the Bible is non-existent. One of the words he used, and he quoted somebody, and I'll have to go back and re-listen to it, because I don't remember what he said, but the person used the word indiscriminate. The Bible is indiscriminate between happiness and joy. One of them, he talked about the myth that holiness and happiness are opposites or enemies or mutually exclusive. But he followed that up with holiness actually produces joy, which I thought was great. I feel like I'm flying through this because I want to talk about joy. Joy is something I like to think about. Another thing that he talked about was last words versus first words. Last words, famous last words. He gave a bunch of awesome examples. The end of Titanic, Leo letting go of Rose, and then he talked about famous first words like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, like just awesome stuff. One of the things he brought up was that the last word of the Old Testament is cursed. And then the first word that Jesus speaks in the New Testament is blessed. Fun stuff to explore. And then he told a story, and this one was, I think, I'm gonna spend a little minute on this. He is a songwriter. He's a praise and worship songwriter. Now he's a lead pastor at a church in Austin, Texas. And he said he was telling a story about how he was preparing. His family was kind of getting ready or in the process of having a bunch of other family and friends over because he had been nominated. I don't remember if he said if it was for an Emmy or for a Grammy. I know he has been, or not an Emmy, a Dove Award or a Grammy. I know he's been nominated for a Grammy. But I don't remember which one it is. And he had talked about how, in the past, before they had moved into the house that they were in at this time, he would have to put like a blanket over his head that would signal to his family that he was working, or he'd have to hide in a closet to record his songs. But at this point in time, he had a house where he had a writing room. He had an office. And he said, I could hear the feet of my sons upstairs running around, chasing whatever. My wife was in the kitchen, preparing for all these people who were going to come over, and we were celebrating the fact that I was nominated. And he goes, I'm going to go over, I'm going to sit at the piano and I'm going to write a song. I'm going to just start singing about joy. And then he started writing a very melancholic song about how you can have everything, but still feel empty. And, that's when he got into what he said was the geography of Matthew 5, versus being an addition to, or I don't remember how he said it, but for the theology of the sermon. And this is where what he really started talking about. He's like, this Sermon on the Mount wasn't on a mountain. It wasn't on Mount Sinai or Zion or whatever. It wasn't on this, majestic mountain. It was on a hill. And he started rattling off some stuff that I started trying to write very quickly. And if I can read my own handwriting, I'll try to read some of the things. And he said, Jesus chose an ordinary place, where this Sermon on the Mount happened, because we don't live our lives on the mountaintop. We are going to spend more time in traffic than on vacation. We will spend more time being crushed by life than being celebrated. So this moment, when God starts talking about blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, he is talking about that we are blessed at all times, especially at the lowest. We shouldn't live in low points. We should, but those things are valid. We are going to experience those. But yeah, the thing that he said about we're going to spend more time in traffic than vacation, I was just like, oh, I should probably work on my road rage. I'm not flipping the bird at anybody, but I like to clap for people, especially when they do something I deem dumb or unsafe. But Sorry, a little parched there. So anyways, that's kind of what he went through. I highly suggest you go check it out. I don't want to, when I started doing this, it was more of a way for me to just talk about my thoughts on things, and my ADHD mind struggles to stay focused on the initial parts of it. And my brain goes into something that it's actually funny when I sat down for service and listened to praise and worship. Something that has been on my mind for a couple of years now is that we do reverence in praise and worship really well. If you listen to our songs are very open and just, your name is beautiful, all these different things. But, and there'll even be times where it builds, there'll be the music will swell and it will it'll kind of get your heart pumping a little bit. And then it'll just go back into that reverence, into that halftime, half tempo, not halftime at a football game or basketball or whatever. But it'll go into that reverence and just, it's everybody's swaying and, hands up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not disparaging that in any way. That's actually something I struggle with is, sometimes I feel like I've lost some of my reverence, because things have become routine for me. And that's something I definitely need to work on. But I think that's something that is just as important is joy. I was growing up, I went to a church called Rejoice. And rejoice to me is like a primal, action, or it is dancing, it is running around, it is laughter, it is joyous response. And it always made me laugh because it was a Baptist church and we weren't allowed to dance. But Rejoice was the name of the church. But I remember that there was a song that they would play at the church. It was a David Crowder song, called Undignified. And it was the song, the chorus is, I'll become even more undignified than this. Some may say it's foolishness. And I think it was at church camp. There was a band, they had brought in an outside band to be the band for the week at church camp. And they played that song, and I don't know if they invited us or if it was just something naturally occurring. It was a big camp. It was a big church camp. Multiple churches were there. Our church was always the biggest church that went. But we would not mosh pit or anything like that. There were no elbows being thrown or, anything like that. But we would run to the front and we would jump, and you'd jump up and down, and it was it was joyous. It was so much more than just standing in your pew or at your seat and singing the song. It was fun. It was a blast to do. And we only ever did it for that song. And now, I feel like that doesn't happen in church, at least in the churches that I've gone to. And it's so, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity for churches to let go. We don't have to be the pious or calm and collected and smiling and, come to me, my children, just whatever that is, that warm, quiet faith that I don't know why that's become so prevalent. Nobody goes crazy. Like there was a song, DC Talk had Jesus Freak. Like a Jesus freak doesn't go to church. Like the person in my mind, a Jesus freak is not somebody who goes to church in slacks, dress shoes, and a button up and sings from their hymnal or shakes hands and then leaves. Like that's not a Jesus freak. A Jesus freak goes crazy. Like I don't expect pyrotechnics. Like I don't expect this to be a Van Halen show, but I mean, let the people go, man. Let's have some fun with this. And I feel like we do it in so many other ways, but not in worship, at least at the church level. There are all these major worship bands or Christian bands that you go to, and it is a rock concert. They're going to an outside venue. It might be at a church, but it's that's a one-off thing. Like we're going to go see, I mean, I remember going to see Audio Adrenaline, Cutlass. I think I saw Reliant K. Like these are Christian bands that are, rock bands. They never play at a praise and worship at a church. So that environment, it was like, yeah, okay, it makes sense to go crazy and jump up and down and, get excited. But why don't we do that at church? Why don't we, I'm not saying we need a mosh pit at Life.Church. That's not what I'm going for. But man, I would love to like bounce on my toes a little bit. We don't even clap at church anymore. Like it's just reverence. And again, I don't want to disparage that. It absolutely has a place, but I come from things from like a story or a performance like world. I love theater. I love film. I love anything. And you structure your play, your movie, your book, your whatever, to have these like roller coaster moments of highs and lows, of climax and doldrums, and you structure it that way. And I'm not saying that we need to get that technical, but if you're doing 4 songs at church and what can one of them be joyous? Like just let them go. Let the band go. Let the crowd go. Like I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And I'm not even the kind of person who was like, I want to be up front. I would still sit in the back, but I'd clap. Like I would still, I don't know. I want so much more. I feel like we get so stuck on the reverence and the humility and all that kind of stuff. But like, Pastor Tauren said, we were created by the God of infinite joy. Infinite joy. I don't see infinite joy at church. I don't. I don't see that. To me, infinite joy, you have to let go every now and then. And it needs to be during service. It can't be like they're doing a foam party or something next week on Saturday. It's either this Saturday or next Saturday. That's great. Like it's going to be a lot of fun, a blast, and they'll praise during that time. But man, why do we have to reserve that for special moments? Let's get undignified. I want people to say, yeah, that church is different, or those people are different because they're living in joy and letting loose on a Sunday morning. I don't know. I don't know if this means anything to anybody else, or if anybody else disagrees with me or whatever. I just, man, that's something that's been on my heart for a long, long time. I wish we would just let go and have a blast. And maybe one day we'll get there. But I think that's going to be it for today. I'm not sure how good this one was, or I'm only getting like 7, 8 views on some of these. I'm not, I think most of them are my parents watching them 2 or 3 times, or at least starting them 2 or 3 times. I'm not even sure if they make it to the end. But I do think, if you have any suggestions or whatever, let me know. I want to try to keep these under 20 minutes. I'm looking at the tiny little screen up there, and I think it says I'm at 21 right now. So I'm trying to keep it under 20. So yeah, any suggestions I'd appreciate. So, yeah, thanks for watching. If you watched, if you made it this far, I'm grateful. Next week is the start of At the Movies. And I highly recommend everybody check that out. It's going to be a blast. So thanks for watching.